Hello, everybody. Welcome to WD Carousel of Podcast. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And today we are going to do the Aladdin movie review.
Of course, yes.
So, yes, we are a little bit late in doing this, but we wanted to give you guys time to adjust because I am 100% sure something's going to slip. That would be a spoiler.
So we'll just say now, if you have not seen it yet, you should probably see it before you listen to
further.
us, or if you don't care, then that's fine too. But just if you care about how this goes, definitely don't listen to this yet.
I mean, and honestly, isn't much of a spoiler since this is supposed to be the same storyline-esque as
like how much
one that came out in 1992?
Yeah, it's true. You're not going to be truly surprised by anything that's going to happen.
What?
Jafar becomes a genie?
Although, I will say, Iago becoming a monster and chasing them through the streets of Agrabah, that was a little different.
That was surprising. It was kind of scary, a little bit.
Could you imagine Gilbert Gottfried doing that?
That's all sorts of different nightmares, to be honest. Yeah. Oh.
So, we watched Aladdin opening night at 7 o'clock.
We did.
The very first showing that they had it in their local theater.
Yes.
And honestly, we were kind of shocked that even though the tickets had sold out, there was a lot of spaces around us.
It's like nobody there.
I know.
Yeah. It was like, you looked down at the rows below us in the theater, and it was just like a lot of empty seats. It was like a bunch of people at the front, and then like us in the middle with a couple of people clustered around us, and that was
direct middle rows, middle height, everything. So it was shocking, because I think we bought tickets, like a day ahead of time? 2 days ahead of time?
Yeah. You were just kind of like, let's just go. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then you're just like, okay, I got the tickets. It's like, oh, I was expecting that to be a more difficult situation.
Yes. We weren't able to get to our normal theater, but that was just due to time restraints, because this time they did not have as many options either for when the movie was going to be playing for the night. So we had to work within our driving capacity from work.
Yes.
And if you hear thunder, it's going to start snowing. Snowing. This is Minnesota.
This is Minnesota.
No, it's going to start raining.
We already had some hail today. It's fine. It's totally good. All right. So Aladdin.
Yeah. Showed up to the theater. No problems, no lines. Got in there. No problems, no lines. Sat down. And
lots of ads.
Lots of ads, which is normal, whatever.
Yeah.
But then the movie starts, and unlike what you're familiar with for the animated feature, it does not start with the title sequences and then the song. They actually go into this sort of ship feeling. Yes,
they do kind of a frame story situation. So, because Aladdin is very stylized, and especially in the beginning with its, the genie thing, and they go through the whole kind of musical entrance situation. And with this, they start it, like you're just like on a ship with like a frame story, and they're like he's gonna tell the story to the children. Mm-hmm. And right away, you're like, okay, this sailor is Will Smith. Something's up,
Yes.
So that was kind of the first, immediately right off the bat, they kind of went for kind of a different vibe.
Mm-hmm. But I did really appreciate the introduction and the entrance, because what they did is they combined the original opening song with some humor, and then it easily ran into the one-step song while they were introducing the characters. Yeah. And it made it a little bit smoother of a transition between those two songs instead of song, comedy, introduction of character, song.
Yeah.
So it was a unique way to merge the two.
Yeah. In fact, I find a lot of the opening sequence stuff was kind of some of the most engaging.
I would agree.
In terms of just kind of like world building. I think that they did pretty well with that. And I should say right off the bat is we had a lot of the same thoughts about the movie, but I've never seen any other live action redos for the animated.
That is true.
So our expectations are different. So we have the same thoughts but different expectations. I'm sure that'll change for me once I see more. But it was kind of an interesting post-movie discussion.
Yes, because we literally sat outside of the theater for, about 15 minutes?
15
20 minutes.
Yeah.
And we were like, we should have recorded this, but, what you gonna do?
Whatever. Yeah, we'll just forget all of it and try to remember in the podcast later. It's fine.
We'll try and remember. The movie progresses, and they establish the characters. I will say some of the character choices were appropriate, some of them they could have done a little bit better on.
Yeah.
They did change Jasmine's storyline a smidge.
Yeah.
And that was just to make her more independent,
yeah.
would you say?
I actually, of all the characters, I really found that both Aladdin and Jasmine were pretty good in the way they transitioned them, and especially Jasmine in her more powerful... She had kind of more of a powerful female character that was less passive.
Yeah, she didn't want to marry someone different. She wanted to rule Agrabah. She wanted to be the Sultan.
Right,
So they added 2 new songs, specifically hers, that she sang independently. Yeah. One of them I thought was completely unnecessary, which was your favorite song. But anyways, we'll get to it. But you know the story. You know what's going to happen. And for the most part, I really appreciated the visuals up until we get to the Cave of Wonders. And the Cave of Wonders is where this started to really take a nosedive for me.
Okay.
And it's because the Cave of Wonders relied way too heavily on CGI instead of, building a set that actually you could feel and interact with. They just decided to computerize everything. Yeah. And that's where, something as simple, and now granted, I don't work in movies, I'm gonna say it simple, we're just going with it. Something as simple as the Cave of Wonders should not have been complete CGI. Like
she elbowed me, by the way.
I mean, they did practical effects other places. They really should have just kept going with it instead of, phoning it in and just being like, oh, okay, well, instead of having to deal with yet another set, we're just going to green screen this.
So I can apply some speculation behind some of this. First of all, I think that I agree. It was just like very CGI.
Almost jarring.
Like it was just like, oh, okay, so this is gonna be CGI. Okay, that's what's happening. But I think that a lot of it was there's kind of 2 things that I see from a film perspective. First of all, like people that like I would rather see really well done smaller scale and then have CG in only the really big wide sweeping shots. Yes. But I think people have come to expect that it's kind of become audience expectation. Not everyone, but just the perception as a whole is like, if they don't have like the crazy huge everything, then they're gonna go home, which I think is incorrect. But I think that's kind of a perception from the film industry. And the other thing too is, I suspect they didn't have a full understanding of what they were going to do for everything in that room until after they shot it.
Well, come on. We knew what the plot was going to be. We knew the storyline.
No.
Yes, there was a part in there that had to do with Friend Like Me where it's only able to be done in CG.
For sure.
But to start off where they're, going through the Cave of Wonders and you need to have that CGI too, come on, guys. That's just laziness to me. That's 100% laziness. Just because you already have the outline set up for a Friend Like Me, might as well just duplicate it over there. And it was unnecessary. And it's where, like I said, the movie started to go down in ratings for me.
Okay. I don't feel as strongly about that. I think that the VFX people did a lot for it. I think there was a lot going on. I think that it was sort of a cop-out for some stuff, where I feel like a lot of the stuff that happened in tighter situations and stuff didn't need to be handled in an all CG way. It just seemed like there was a lot of it, even though I know that Genie is a lot of times has to be CG just because of who is...
Let's talk about the Genie.
Yeah,
oh,
okay.
I'm so excited. AKA Will Smith did a really great job.
Fresh Prince of Agrabah, yeah.
Impersonating the Genie. You cannot compare what Will Smith did
to what Robin
Williams did. They are 2 different genies. Yes, they did use some of the same lines and the same verbiage to make you have that connection, but there was a different feeling. That being said, as soon as they made him blue and started playing with the CGIs, I hated him. Hate it. Now, Will Smith's acting still underneath that was all great. And I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the humor back and forth between the characters.
I honestly think he did a really good job of making the character, because now we're in, a physical world where it's shot, with real actors, and so the over-the-top, kind of Mork and Mindy...
Obviously CGI.
Right, well, yes, but I think his performance...
Use Mork and Mindy as a comparison.
Well,
Robin Williams.
Yeah, I know. But his performance definitely took a good turn as a over-the-top, but still kind of like living in the real world kind of character. I also think that as a character, to a certain degree, the CGI made sense.
I mean, they would have had to.
Yeah. They could
have cleaned it up more.
The problem too is there was a lot of it. Like, they did so much of it, and part of me is kind of like the fact that they transitioned between him being totally real and CG probably made that more jarring.
And I also think that if they would have kept the proportions a little bit more similar, it would have made more sense as well.
They did blow him up and down a lot, which is just kind of disconcerting to begin with.
Honestly, if they would have kept the proportions the same for him, and then maybe did the whole, and you and I had the conversation about this after the movie, when he was supposed to be small, do that whole zoom out thing, and then when he's supposed to be bigger, zoom it in, so that way the proportions stayed the same, instead of trying to do the CGI, and, with his odd proportions, it was just throwing it off even more.
Yeah. I mean, are you talking about, like, doing camera work to distort perception?
Yes, instead of the computer stuff.
And the only problem with that, of course, is 3D.
Now, granted, I don't do any of this, and yes, now they're also every single movie adding in a 3D element, so fine. there's I mean, I'm not going to explain away the issues, but I would like to present logic as to why things were done the way they were. And that's one of the great things about you, is because you actually have a background regarding this, whereas me, I'm just a nostalgic, bitter old woman.
Stop. Don't do that.
Looks at it from this point.
Well, you're looking at it from a point that's more on the, I have my frame of reference. I'm looking at a new film, and I'm gonna look at this and really look at it critically, because
it's not a new film as much as a remake,
right? And you're coming at it. Disney, you win and put this money in and are selling this basically a new version of something old that you had to rebuild, and we're gonna look at it, and it's gonna get compared to the other one. That's just the way it is.
Now, moving on to something that was an addition and something new to this storyline as well. What did you think of the genie's love story interest on that?
You know what? At first, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know about this. Like, I was like, oh, they're adding like the handmaid and the genie fall in love. Like, that's
handmaid didn't exist even in the
animated version. Yeah. And I was just kind of, at first I wasn't really feeling it, and then as it kind of moved on, it was the comedy of it was kind of funny, and then it was just actually kind of sweet. Like, it was sweeter than I was expecting it to be.
I'll agree. It was a nice little surprise addition to the storyline.
Yeah.
In the end, to, again, spoil everything, because that's what we're doing today.
Yeah, it's classic.
They do end up, when Genie gets freed, he turns into a human.
Yes.
Which is a new twist as well.
Yes.
But that way he can have the relationship with the handmaiden that he fell for.
Right.
Who was Jasmine's attendant, and with their blessing, they go off, and that's where all of a sudden the story's coming from.
Right. And of course, then it totally explains the fact that they're
on a boat,
and he's telling the children, and I actually didn't mind the way that all played out for, a lot of, in fact, a lot of the story, the changes to the story they made, and most of the acting, minus some stuff we'll get to, I thought that all actually was executed pretty well. Overall, I thought so. Ooh. So that's, I think that was kind of how I felt. Now, we both talked about a specific... Okay, so we each had a slightly different opinion. I was kind of more neutral / didn't bug me as much. It bugged you was Jafar. I kind of thought, and my initial thought process was, well, they kind of, for the writing, they took him more in, they kind of did like a Vader Luke Skywalker thing with Aladdin. It's kind of how they threw it together, where he's kind of more like, I'm just like you, you're just like me.
But
like
Vader had more power versus this guy who...
I know, yeah. So I think in theory, I kind of liked the idea, but the more I thought about it after you kind of burst my bubble the first time, was the actor wasn't super strong. He wasn't super strong. He was a perfectly good actor, but the problem was the expectations with Jafar are so over the top and so, evil and powerful, and
he might as well just be a queen. Right, I mean, exactly. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, right. No, yeah, of course, right?
And then we have this guy playing him that is almost, soft, and you see his ambition.
Right.
But he doesn't have the charisma or the power to bring it through.
Yeah.
And so I was making the association that he would be more appropriate to be like a sidekick than he would to actually be the main baddie.
Yeah.
And when you don't have, a comic relief either of Iago, who did talk in this movie.
But it was like the parrot in Pirates of the Caribbean. It really wasn't...
It didn't contribute
as much. Like, it was just kind of like little accent pieces. It wasn't a sidekick per se. He was kind of really Jafar.
He was his own sidekick.
Jafar was a sidekick to his own ambition. Really, it's what it boiled down to. The ambition was there, and Jafar was the sidekick to it. And to be honest, like, it is really hard to fill the shoes of the animated Jafar because it's such an over the top character. However, and I could see why, as an actor, you'd want to make the choice to downplay it or not push the energy farther.
Yes.
But on the other hand...
Especially if they were trying to do a little bit, now granted I'm saying this with a genie in there, realistic esque feel to the movie, but still.
Yeah, I think that he could have pushed it farther.
Much farther.
And I honestly didn't mind his acting. I just thought he didn't... he could have gone farther with it, and it would have gone farther.
The thing that we love about the villains is how over the top they are.
That's kind of like the Disney trademark.
You have to be crazy, and he was a little crazy.
He was kind of
not an intense, quirky.
He was just kind of vaguely menacing.
Quiet at times, he didn't need to be quiet. And meek at times, he didn't need to be meek.
Yeah.
So, there's that character. Getting into characters, I was okay with the Jasmine character. The person that played her was also in Power Rangers, Pink Ranger.
Oh, yeah, that's right, the Pink Ranger.
As well as a couple other things. And then Aladdin was pretty decent, too. The one thing that I found out after we got done with the movie...
Listening.
Drama.
Oh, no.
They brown-faced Jasmine. She's normally a lot lighter skinned.
I kind of wondered about that.
And you looked at it, and then when I was re-looking at screenshots of it, you could tell
they kind of made her
brown-faced her.
Made her a little more ethnic than she probably was.
And I heard that happened as well with a number of the extras, which Disney... You are supposed to be trying to make this more ethnically
diverse,
appropriate.
Yeah.
And to hear that you're brown-facing people, it's very disappointing.
Yeah.
Now, Disney did come out with a statement.
Okay.
Stating that they were striving for ethnic diversity, and where they needed to, and they said where they couldn't find someone, whether it be... they said stuntmen and those sorts of things.
Okay.
Then they admitted to doing it. But when you're looking at the main characters, and I remember seeing, and I was hoping it was shadowing, but when I see Jasmine's skin change slightly throughout the movie, it's a little bit more obvious.
I was definitely, the whole time I was watching that movie, I'm like, it doesn't feel like she's, like, it feels like she's a little too white for this. I know it sounds horrible.
And then you gotta wonder, okay, so the other thing that people were having issues with, and I'm not judging this as harshly, but what area of the world were they going for? Because they had that huge Bollywood, essentially, number.
They sure did.
And
I actually kind of enjoyed that.
This was supposed to be Middle Eastern, which is not
Indian. It was definitely in a vibe that was sort of... And again, there's the other thing, too, is they make it purposefully non-geographically descript. And so that's kind of tricky, too. But then when you do that, you can start to pull elements, and it's like, where... I don't even know I don't know enough to be offended right now. Like, that's kind of where it kind of goes.
India is a huge country with a lot of diverse landscapes.
Yes.
So if you were going for India, then the Bollywood scene makes sense, but then a lot of these scenes
He walks in the elephant, and, there's... And I kind of assumed... It was sort of... I assumed it was supposed to be Muslim. It was my... Like, in terms of, like, the way
in the original animated series, it was by Allah and all of that.
Right, but they definitely toned that down. Now, I know that the outdoor scenes that they shot were in Jordan.
Okay, so Middle Eastern.
But it was so very Disneyfied and cleaned up to be so generic that it was hard to know what they were going for, which is kind of why I'm like, I don't know. I'm too confused to be offended.
And then one other thing that I'm just going to state, and we're just going to leave it at that, is I was upset that they decided to make Jasmine's outfit a little bit more conservative when we know that at the time period that it's supposed to be representing Middle Eastern, a lot of women did have more, saris with the open bellies and everything.
Midriff,
and I feel like Disney just decided to cover it up a little bit more just for costuming in the parks for future people pretending to be her. That way they don't have to worry about
merchandising perspective,
because that could be considered risque. So
now, I can't remember. Was the animated film? Did she have midriff?
Yes,
she did. Interesting.
Oh, a lot of it.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm pretty sure many little boy had their first awakening of it. Moving on. So that was just a little pet peeve that I had as well.
Sometimes we're family friendly. Sometimes we're not family friendly.
I'm keeping it PG. But. Okay, so let's get into this, and then we'll wrap it up. So, favorite part of the movie?
I really liked the intro stuff. I liked the, I'm gonna try and narrow it down, sorry. I liked the Bollywood number stuff. That was
Prince Ali coming in.
Prince Ali was fun, but I really also liked the dance number in the party.
Okay, yes, that was really good.
I really found that
dance off.
It was very, the whole movie was very visually appealing.
Okay, so then what was your one favorite thing?
And you're gonna hate me for this. I really liked her song "Everything Freezes." Yep.
Worst song of the movie. Speechless. Could do without. I know it's your favorite.
I liked the scene. I think that's my point that I really want to draw home is the song was kind of not that memorable to me.
The song was very DCOM.
It was. It very much was. But the thing for me that I really liked was they actually kind of just stopped. It doesn't happen a lot in a movie where they do that. Like in most, movies where they do the thing, they kind of do the suspension of disbelief. For this, it was literally like her thoughts. And they did the thing where she walked through and did the whole thing. And it was kind of like they really did break down her thought process before the next series of events. And I thought that was kind of neat from a filmmaking and directing perspective and writing. The song definitely was not that memorable, and maybe they could have done it with something else. I don't know.
But was that your favorite thing of the movie?
It's either that or it's the dance scene. I can't remember. Okay. I was probably a toss-up between the two.
Your worst thing in the movie? By the way, my favorite's Prince Ali's entrance.
Prince Ali's entrance is your favorite?
But we'll move on to worst. Because mine's the breathless DCOM song, so I want to get his.
That's pretty funny. So my best and your worst are potentially the same. Is that what you're saying?
Potentially.
It's not the scene in the
everybody's
in the temple.
It doesn't matter.
It's not the cave, not the cavern for you. Was not your least favorite?
No, it was breathless.
Okay.
But what was your worst?
I'm trying to remember a part that really didn't do it for me. There was a couple of cheesy dialogue bits or interactions that I found to be really dumb, and I don't remember what they are anymore. I would say that there was a couple of scenes. Was it where it was up in his hideout? I don't remember.
I don't know your brain.
I probably maybe the cavern was really not that engaging to me considering what it was.
Yeah.
And what it was supposed to do for impact.
Okay. So then let's go over some specs.
Okay.
So critics are rating this 5.3 out of 10.
That's 7.3 out of 10.
No, 5.3 for critics, 7.4
for audiences.
Out of audiences.
I gotcha.
So critics are judging this rather harshly, which makes sense to me.
Yep.
Audiences are enjoying it. I would say it's still an enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
It's something where we were finding jokes and we were laughing.
Yeah.
It was enjoyable.
It had clever moments for sure. And but in the end, my reaction, when my mom asks me,
holy buckets,
what do you want to do? And she's like, should I go see it? I basically was like,
it was enjoyable.
I'm like, yes, you should see it, but let's just wait till we can rent it. Was kind of what it boiled down to for me. You don't need to go out and see it. It's
actually doing really good in the box offices, which kind of shocks me.
What is it, 454 million right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good, and it bodes well as far as income-wise for Disney for future live actions. Now, we did have a conversation about this, which I will save to a later date.
Yeah.
But I think Disney is just trying to use this for money and not quality. We'll talk about that later.
Spreading themselves too thin. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get there.
So, on that note, that has been the review, the very long review of Aladdin, and this has been WD Carousel Podcast. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And we hope you have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.